Hello everybody and welcome back to another Valheim episode. In today's Valheim episode, we start looking for a swamp with my friends and I. But do we end up finding a swamp? Let's find out. Before we begin our grand adventure, it's always a great idea to prepare. So we went out there into the world and started collecting some resources to build our gear and make another ship or boat. After that, we made more food to go along with our journey, because after all, we are hungry Vikings searching for adventure. After that, I did do some work on the tree farm, but we'll have another updated video on that. And then my other friend has joined the server to help us look for the long-awaited swamp. One of the reasons why we are looking for a swamp is, of course, acquire iron. Iron will allow us to get into the next type of gear, which is the iron gear, and also allow us to build more complex buildings and more stuff. So as we sailed across the sea, we pretty much went north and south across the board, and we did find some swamps, but they were all small swamps that weren't really actual swamps, and none of them had dungeons. Do note, the swamp dungeons required a swamp key, and we only had 2 copies, so this was very key to our adventuring. If we couldn't find any of the swamp dungeons, we would not be able to find any iron. We returned multiple times back to the base, and dispersed in different directions on this server, trying to find a swamp. I went around everywhere. I went north, I went south, I walked across the entire little island that we had, which apparently turned out to be a really big island, but there was no sign of a swamp that actually had a dungeon in it. We found like 5 or maybe 4 to 7 swamps, I believe, but they were like very small biomes and none of them had a swamp dungeon. I was kind of getting a little bit frustrated, as well as my friend, because they were supposed to help us get iron, but we didn't have any luck finding a single full-blown 100% swamp dungeon. So we did take some breaks here and there, trying to discuss where should we look. As Vikings, it's always our keen instinct to pillage villages, so we did find some grunge villages. However, we didn't really have enough gear or the manpower to take on those grunges, I think that's what they're called. So I decided to go even more south to look for a swamp, and there was just more plains than swamps, which was kind of sad. And I did die because I accidentally walked into a plains and mosquito hit me in one hit KO. And then we actually found a swamp. It was pretty big enough in the map to tell that, oh, maybe this swamp has a dungeon, but nope, it didn't. And then we set out on another adventure on the ship to look for a swamp, but we only found more plains. So that was pretty much it. So in the next episode of Valheim, we'll probably be going back to working on a few projects on our city, and then continuing our search for a swamp, which will be a part 2, I guess. Stay tuned to another episode of Valheim, fellow adventurers. Stay healthy, sleep early, and brush your teeth. Brush your teeth, sleep early. Peace out.